I hadn't seen her in 15 years, not since we were kids, barefoot, wild, laughing like we owned the world in that tiny little neighborhood tucked between forgotten roads and rusty swing sets. Her name was Elsie, and for a long time that name was everything to me. My first love, even if she never knew it. When I moved away at 12, I left more than just a street or a school behind. I left her. She wrote me one letter after I moved. Just one. I kept it all these years, folded, fading, creased like my memory of her smile. I used to take it out and read it when life got heavy. It always felt like a whisper from a world that never really left me. And now, 15 years later, I came back. Not for her, at least that's what I told myself. My job had me relocating, and the only place I could afford was, well, home. Or what used to be. I didn't expect to see her on my first day back. I definitely didn't expect to see her sitting on the bench at the corner store, wearing the same kind of sundress she wore as a kid, only now her hair was longer, her eyes deeper. Still Elsie, still impossible. But something was off. She looked at me like I was a stranger. Not the, hey, it's been a while kind of stranger. No, like I didn't exist. I walked up slowly, unsure if I should say something. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe it wasn't her. But then she smiled. And that smile, it was hers. Exactly the same. Elsie? I asked. She tilted her head. Yeah? Her voice had that same melodic curiosity, but there was no flicker of recognition, not even a hint. You don't remember me, do you? I said gently. She stared, brows furrowed slightly. I'm sorry, should I? That hit like a punch I hadn't braced for. I laughed awkwardly, trying to shake off the sting. We used to be neighbors, back on Riverbend Street. I'm Noah. She blinked, searching her mind like she was trying to unlock a dusty file cabinet that had been sealed shut. I I don't remember Riverbend. It didn't make sense. How could she not remember? That street was our kingdom. We built forts from cardboard, raced bikes till our lungs gave out, shared popsicles in the dead heat of summer. I still remembered the freckles on her nose, the chipped blue nail polish, the way she'd always hum when she concentrated. Sorry, she said, smiling politely. I had an accident a few years back. Memory loss. There's a lot I don't remember before I was 17. Oh, suddenly everything clicked and nothing made sense all at once. I wanted to cry, or scream, or run. But instead I smiled. No worries, just thought you looked familiar. I turned to go, my heart suddenly heavier than ever. Wait, she called. You said we were neighbors. I turned. Yeah. She smiled again. Well, I guess we're strangers now, but maybe we don't have to be. She patted the bench beside her, so I sat. And in that moment I knew something strange and beautiful had begun. Again. Only this time I wasn't chasing a memory. I was building something new, even if it hurt.
I didn't know why I asked him to stay. Something in his eyes. Maybe it was sadness. Maybe it was something more. Pulled me in. He said we were neighbors. Once. That we played as kids. I didn't remember. I wanted to. There are gaps in my memory. Big black holes I try not to think about. My parents say it's a blessing. That the accident wiped out the worst. But sometimes I wonder what I lost along with the pain. Noah. He said his name was Noah. There was something familiar about him. Like an echo. Not his face. Not his voice exactly. But his presence. Like my body remembered something my mind had forgotten. We sat on the bench and talked about nothing. The weather. The old grocery store that finally closed down. How the town hadn't changed in some ways, but felt like a ghost of itself in others. He told me he'd just moved back, that he was settling in, trying to find his footing. I listened more than I spoke. That's how I usually am with new people. But he didn't feel new. He told stories, little things. A treehouse we supposedly built together, a game where I used to boss him around. I laughed because it sounded like me. Even if I didn't remember, it felt true. And then he pulled out a letter. A real paper letter folded and worn. You wrote this, he said. When I moved away. You were 10. I touched it gently. My handwriting. Definitely mine. But it felt like reading a stranger's words. I don't remember writing it, I whispered. That's okay, he replied softly. I remember enough for both of us. I don't know what came over me, but I reached out and touched his hand. Just for a second. I'd like to remember you, I said. Even if we have to start from scratch. He smiled, and for a moment, I felt like the sun came out just for me. I didn't know if this would turn into something. Friendship, love, heartbreak. But I knew this. I wanted to know him. Again. Or for the first time.
And that's how it began. Not with fireworks, but with a bench, a letter, and a smile. She didn't remember me, but I remembered her, and maybe, just maybe, that was enough to begin again.
I stood there, staring at the man who claimed to know me so intimately. My heart was thudding in my chest, and I didn't understand why. He seemed so sincere, so full of longing and pain. And the way he looked at me, it was like he was seeing a ghost. He had been waiting years to meet again. I don't remember you, I said again, softer this time. He didn't flinch. Instead, he nodded slowly, as if he expected it. That made it worse. But when you talk, something about it feels familiar. Like my heart recognizes what my mind forgot. He smiled gently. Maybe that's enough for now. Maybe your heart can guide you back. There was silence for a while. The wind rustled the trees above us. The park we were standing in seemed like a place ripped out of time. Like it remembered us, even if I didn't. Can you tell me more? I asked. He sat on the bench and I followed.
You were always the adventurous one, I began, looking out over the lake. You once convinced me to climb the old water tower, even though we were 10 and terrified of heights. I followed you, trembling the whole way. When we reached the top, you yelled into the wind, said you felt like you could fly. I turned to her. She was listening, eyes wide, trying to remember. I never saw anyone like you, even as a kid. You had this fire in you, like the world was your playground. I was the shy, quiet one. I followed your lead, always. You made life feel magical. I paused, breathing in deeply. But the day you moved away, it crushed me. I waited for you to write. I waited for years. And then I found out your family had an accident, that you had been in a coma, that when you woke up, you didn't remember anything before that. Her face paled. That's why I never came sooner. I didn't want to confuse you. I didn't want to bring pain, but I couldn't stay away forever.
I felt like I couldn't breathe. Pieces were falling into place, but they were blurry, like fragments of a dream I had forgotten. Do you remember the toy bird? I asked suddenly. A little wooden thing that chirped when you pulled the string? He blinked. Yes, that was yours. You carried it everywhere. Said it was our good luck charm. I gasped. That memory had just flashed through me without warning. I think I remember that day. On the tower. Not clearly, but the wind, the feeling of being on top of the world. You held my hand. His eyes filled with tears. That was real, he whispered. We were real.
We still are, I said firmly. You don't need to remember everything for me to be here. I'll remind you of every single moment if I have to. I'll be patient. I'm not going anywhere. She looked down at her hands, and I could see her battling something inside. It's scary, she said finally, because if I fall for you again, what if I forget again someday? What if all this is fragile? I reached out and gently touched her hand. Then we'll fall in love again and again, every time. And I'll be there each time to catch you.
Tears spilled over my cheeks. I didn't even try to stop them. Something deep inside me had shifted. I still didn't have all the memories, but the feelings, they were there, rising like tides I couldn't hold back. Will you stay with me today? I asked. He nodded. As long as you want. We spent the rest of the day walking through the places he said we used to love. A tree where we carved initials, an ice cream stand, a quiet street with ivy-covered fences. And slowly, memory by memory, I felt myself returning to something I didn't know I had lost. But one thing was clear, what we had was never truly gone. It had only been sleeping, waiting to be woken up.
I couldn't sleep that night. Her voice kept echoing in my head. I don't remember you, but I want to. It hurt, but it also gave me hope. Maybe there was a chance we could rebuild what we had. Maybe this wasn't the end, just a different kind of beginning. The next morning, I found her sitting alone by the fountain where we used to meet as kids. She had that distant look again, eyes following the ripples in the water like they held secrets she couldn't quite grasp.
I dreamed of someone last night, she said softly. He had your eyes, your voice, but I couldn't see his face. It felt like I missed him terribly, like I loved him.
My heart caught in my throat. I took a slow step closer. That was me. I was the boy you waited for every summer. We carved our names into that oak tree behind you. You cried when I left the last time.
She turned, tears welling in her eyes. I want to believe you. I do. But every time I try to remember, it's like reaching into fog. I can feel something there. I just can't hold it.
I sat beside her. Then let's not chase the past. Let's create new memories, ones you don't have to force, ones we'll build from now together. She looked at me for a long time. Then she nodded.
Okay, she whispered. But don't expect me to fall in love with you just because you say I did once. You'll have to earn it. Every day.
I smiled. That's fair. Challenge accepted. Over the next few weeks, we did everything, from our old haunts to new adventures. I showed her our favorite bookstore where we once hid notes for each other between the pages. We danced under the same stars we used to wish on, and slowly she began to smile with the same light she used to have. One evening, as we sat by the lakeside watching fireflies, she rested her head on my shoulder.
I don't know if the old me is ever coming back, she said. But this me, the one here now, she's falling for you.
I wrapped my arm around her. That's all I need. You, here, now. But life had one more twist to give. One rainy afternoon, we visited the clinic for a routine checkup. That's when the doctor called me in, his face pale. There's something you should know, he said. Her condition, it's degenerative, rapid. She may lose all memory, even new ones, in a matter of weeks. My world spun.
When I told her, she went quiet. So even what we've built could disappear too?
Yes, I said, my voice cracking, but we're not done yet. We have today and tomorrow. I'll keep loving you, even if you forget me every morning.
She cried. Then she kissed me like it was the last time. From that day on, we lived every moment with reckless joy. We recorded video messages, wrote journals, took pictures of everything. Each morning, she'd wake up, sometimes remembering, sometimes not. And every morning, I'd tell her the story of us again.
And one day, on a quiet evening, as the sun dipped behind the trees, she looked at me, touched my face, and whispered, I remember. All of it. Then she closed her eyes and never woke up. But I carry her memory, for both of us. And even if the world forgets, I never will. The girl who once forgot me taught me what love really means.